All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the West Coast. Good evening to those of you on the East Coast. I am your host, Brandon Troy, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and welcome to a new episode of Tonight's the Night, the unofficial Dexter Resurrection podcast. If you are here, you are another fellow dark passenger, so to speak, who is keen to travel down the rabbit hole that is the world of Dexter. On today's show, we're going to be talking about episode 4, which is titled Call Me Red. And as I've mentioned on prior shows, just to make you guys aware, we'll be doing a brief recap of each episode to start. After which, I will be introducing the guest host that we have each said week, which I will be doing so follow our recap today. And once I do I provide an intro for our special guests that we have, we will discuss respectively, some of the themes that are seem to be prevalent in the episode, and we'll also get into some theories that we may have of things that might be on the way. Um, Before I get into the recap, I just want to, make you guys aware that after the show, this live airing of this show, I will be providing timestamps on some of the components or parts of this show. So if you so choose, you're able to skip ahead to that part. But with that out of the way, without further ado, let us dive into episode 4 with our brief breakdown of the plot. All right. So, as I said, episode 4 was titled Call Me Red. And the episode opens with Dex practicing his impersonation of the Dark Passenger, or the imposter, the imposter Dark Passenger, to be more specific, following his kill of the character in the last episode. And continuing onwards, elsewhere, Harrison finds himself in a sticky situation, getting the hotel guest's property from a nearby business. Dexter soon gets picked up by Charlie. And I'm gonna see if I can get that up for you guys now. But yes, he does get picked up by Charlie, and in the process of getting picked up by Charlie, we get some further insight as to what Charlie is about, and what how she factors into what has been teased and not really spelled out at this point. But she brings him to the manor where we finally meet the individual behind the serial killer dinner invite, none other than Leon Prater. And he reveals that he's hosting his this gathering that he has of serial killers. He's been doing it for quite some time. Apparently, he's been doing it for quite a few years, and in the time of doing that, he has created a let's just say a whole of memorabilia of various serial killers that he has encountered, and I guess we can assume has been at many of these dinners that he has thrown. Um, Now, getting into some of the characters that we do meet along that way, there are a couple of quote unquote serial killers that make their way at this dinner. We do have Mia, Lady of Vengeance. Uh, we also have Rapunzel, the ponytail guy, Lowell, Lowell, the tattoo killer. We have Gareth, the Gemini killer. And as we're having this dinner with Dexter, Bautista's father, or I should say, Bautista is in pursuit of is continuing his pursuit of Dex in that time, and in that time in which he is trying to pursue Dex, he is able to run across some of the detectives that we have encountered just prior in the form of sorry, I had a quick glitch there. But yes, he does encounter the two of the detectives that we had prior that were in pursuit of Harrison, and because of the situation that we have regarding Bautista's further pursuit of Dex, um, it also puts him in the, I guess you can say, the crosshairs, or causes him to cross paths with Harrison, who up to this point he has not seen in quite a long time. And as things are starting to heat up in terms of the folks that seem to be becoming suspicious of Harrison. He ends up Harrison, that is, meeting with his coworker, which unfortunately eventually goes sideways while Dex meets with Mia, with whom he develops a rapport from the dinner. And in that time that he's able to, have this encounter with Mia, he's able to get further insight into Prater, excuse me, before sealing the deal with Mia. When we'll get into what I mean by that a bit later. He's able to meet with Lowell, who I mentioned prior, being the tattoo killer, to confirm that this guy is indeed the person who is set to be his next target. Because up to this point, you never really know if many of these folks are actually who they say they are. And of course, Dex has to do his due diligence to make sure they fall within the code. Bautista's further prodding leads him, as I mentioned, after meeting with Harrison, meeting with the detectives Wallace and Aliva, and before the tattoo killer is able to get his next victim, he is intercepted by Dexter. Elsewhere, Harrison encounters Bautista again, where Bautista shares his suspicions about Dex as well as Harrison. With the pressure continuing to build and the guilt reaching a breaking point, Harrison nearly goes to the precinct to turn himself in before being intercepted by Dexter. And then we have our episode. So, with that being said, I want to be able to introduce our guests today, and it's cool to have them on board. Had them on the show before. They are a fellow fan of all things pop culture. You can see their work on Friends of Comic Con. And as luck will have it, as I said, we are both here on location at Comic Con. So without further ado, I want to welcome Scott Cucullu. Let me see if I can bring him on.
Can you hear me,
All right,
Brendan?
Scott. Yes, we can hear you. What's going on, man?
Hey, just chilling. As you can see, I mean, there's the Bay, there's San Diego. Thank you for having me on today's show. I can't wait to talk about Dexter Episode 4, Resurrection.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, just to hit the ground running, what were your just initial? And there is, what were your initial impressions of the episode itself?
The introductions of the new characters, that Leon, I
Absolutely.
guess, assemble, and how Dexter's just like trying to see what's going on, how is every serial killer can just go to this place Leon has and just talk about what they're doing, how they become serial killers. Of course, we got to view the faults, which we also saw part of Dexter's past with the, his
Correct. Yes.
brother. And
Correct.
there's a drunk FBI, I guess, sold his samples, his trophies, Dexter's trophies there. Of
Yeah.
course, if you're at San Diego Comic Con, you'll see that vault at the lodge offsite with the
Yes.
with have the products. Uma Thurman as Charlie. You can tell she's the security guard that does handles everything for Leon. Uh, Mia, I think that's the character's name. Has looks like it has a love interest for Dexter, or at least some kind of interest. Uh, Harry, I should say. He keeps telling Dexter to be careful. I mean, he has to what he's doing, and of course, it's spoilers okay to talk right now, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And now I'll preface
Oh,
it with
okay, I just
that.
want to
Sorry,
double
guys.
check.
I do know we
And then,
can't get into spoilers right now. So yes, go ahead.
oh, okay, I just wanted to double check. And then Neil Patrick Harris character got introduced, but it was just for one episode. I'm like, oh wow, he's just here to say hey and hello. But how he killed people was quite interesting. Overall, I found the new cast interesting. I want to see where this goes. Of course, we got now
Okay.
Dexter revealed himself to Harrison at the end. We'll see how that goes. Of course,
Yes.
Batista is now it's like hard on the tracks on Dexter, and now he's on talking to his son Harrison. So I'm curious where it all leads. So yeah, so far I am enjoying. My favorite episode still episode 3, but this one's a close second of this last
Okay.
4
All right.
we've seen.
I think we might be in the opposite camp. I actually enjoyed this episode actually more than episode 3. It's been a steady build. So the
Oh, for
first 2
sure.
episodes it was a solid they were solid episodes, and then I would say with 3 there was it was slightly better, and with this one I feel like they really up their game, especially with having, I guess you can almost call it a what is it, a Avengers level group of talent in terms
Yeah.
of the different people that you have playing the various different quote unquote killers. So, with that being said, I wanted to be able to dive into some of the themes. And in getting into those themes, there were a couple of things that did come to mind with me, and I wanted to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
what they actually seem to dive into in terms of those said themes. So I'll start first. I would say the one thing that I wanted to be able to discuss with you, Scott, was just the idea of how toxic fandom can get. Because we
Mm.
have a situation like that with Leon, where I feel like because of the nature of who he is and the resources that he has, there
Mm.
isn't a whole bunch that can really be interesting to you if you are living in that with that amount of wealth. So it it makes sense that fandom can become twisted in a way, in that you have to find something so extreme to have an interest or a hobby in, versus something that seems more mundane or normal, so to speak. So what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, Leon has. Yeah, he's just one of some of that cast, like you said, Avengers. His addiction to just collect all their memorabilia from the past killings is just, and he is able to hide it from the public. He does
Yeah.
charities and stuff, which I find very interesting. I want to know, see how long that lasts, of course. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how extreme he's going to, like, oh, I love you all. I like what you do. You
Right,
guys, like,
right,
I want to
right,
hear more. Show me a PowerPoint presentation if you want. Even though Dexter and
right.
yeah, I would like, please don't show a family photo vacation thing. But yeah, he just loves it. He wants to make sure the wine is good for each individual. The food is meet to their taste, and yeah, he's like, I'll go all out. Just follow these rules that I set out so you can be part of this club. And yeah, he's just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I just find it fascinating how, under other circumstances and with other, things that folks, are passionate about or interested in, it could be sports, it could be,
Yeah.
a lot of the pop culture stuff that we talk about, but when we're talking about someone who's living at that level and has that amount of wealth, uh, it seems to discuss the idea of what would be something that is interesting to you if you have everything. Of course, is I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like it will
yeah,
end up becoming somewhat, your interests will those interests end up becoming uh uh twisted in a way, because it there needs to be something else to kind of drive him, or to uh allow him to have a hobby of sorts, because if it was anything else, it's something that he can probably immediately attain. And I feel like by having this weird hobby, a
yeah,
lot of times when you have those hobbies or you have that fandom, one of the elements that is a part of that is the idea that it isn't easily attainable, or it isn't easy to have, because you just talked about that idea of ownership or being able
yeah,
to have something. And I feel like with fandom, it play that kind of factors into it, because with some characters, say if there's a character that you're a big fan of, even if it's a fictional character, on some level, however small, I feel like part of that fandom is because folks want to attribute, want to be Superman, right? Or they want to be,
mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, or wish that they,
Yeah, I
they
wish I
Superman
could.
had this power. So for him, in a twisted way, I feel like because most of the things he can attain or get very easily due to his wealth, unfortunately, in his case, it's become way more twisted in this very weird fascination that he has.
Yeah.
But one other thing that I wanted to get into and get your thoughts on is also the idea of, we see this a lot with well, I should say, in prior episodes I talked about how we very much have an idea of parenthood and fathers and their relationships with their kids. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when we're talking about that familial type of relationship, there is an element of the kids trying to live up to their parents, or to not disappoint their parents, or if it's not disappointment, they want to make their parents proud. And you brought up something that we had in the scene, which was the show and tell scene, which was very
Mm-hmm.
weird, by the way. But
It
the
was.
idea that if you have this kind of show and tell element, I feel like a lot of that can can be attributed to kind of what you had with the parental type of relationship, where you have this guy Leon that they're trying to impress, as if is
Mm-hmm.
as if he's a parent, and he's the parent, trying to be proud of, in a weird way,
Oh, for
these
sure.
folks that he has a fascination with. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, they're definitely trying to make sure they
It's kind of
impress
some
him.
weird,
If
I
Leon
feel
is
like,
goes,
parental thing happening.
yeah, that or this the boss. They're trying to make sure they're doing their interview right in front of their hopefully their new boss and everything. But yeah, they want to make sure he's keep giving him the dough, and and yeah, that because he said that it was hinted at that some have died, some have committed suicide. I think that's a little nod to Epstein. Just, I'm like,
Yeah,
I think that's what the writer was hinting at there. So yeah, if you don't stay on his good side, bad things are gonna happen. Especially that one serial killer that Charlie used a bat against him in episode 2, I think.
yeah,
I'll be
for
right
sure.
back. Someone's at the door at the hotel. I'm sorry for this.
No
Be
worries,
back.
no worries. So, I mean,
30
I'll give my
seconds.
thoughts.
30
Go ahead.
seconds.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Be right back. Sorry,
Um,
everyone.
yep. It's a nature of a live show, folks, and as I said, we are live at Comic Con. But One other thing, and I do want to get Scott's thoughts on this when he gets back on, is there is another component that we have seen in this show that has been fascinating, and it seems like they have tackled it in Original Sin, more explicitly tackled it in Original Sin, but we've kind of had it slightly implied in other iterations of Dexter. So what I was saying is, Scott, is I wanted to get into
Yeah, I'm back.
a component that we've had in many of the Dexter shows, whether it's been the
Hmm.
original show or any of the, even if it's the prequel show, and that's the idea of appetite. And let me explain that. So
Sure.
whenever there is a moment in which they have uh, after Dexter has satisfied his urge, so to speak, right? He
Hmm.
ends up immediately having like a huge appetite to eat a lot of food, which I find
Oh
which
yeah.
has been interesting that they've tackled. Like they didn't explicitly get into it in the original show, but I feel like they more explicitly highlight that in the recent prequel that we had, and now even
Yeah.
in this show, we see that happen, and they seem to imply that that is not just a Dexter thing; it's a thing among his brethren, so to speak, that
Yeah. That.
whenever they have sat after they you know, uh, 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 post kill, so to speak, they end up always feeling like they need to have a huge meal. Like they always have a huge appetite. Like so, considering that and that they're tackled, what are your thoughts on what's behind that?
Their like their urge or their
Yeah,
food. Cause oh, okay, their
like
urge to kill.
yeah, and then needing to feel like they become really hungry and they have a need to actually like have like a huge meal or eat something prior to that.
Well, I guess I'm not trying to say I'm a serial killer. I guess killing someone just creates quite the appetite, and you feel satisfied. And yeah, it was yeah. I guess they feel hungry, and they even mentioned how they all have that urge, that desire, and everything. And yeah, I do find it interesting that they want to eat like Dexter in his meals. He's always what's that certain meal protein and everything. And yeah, it's just I don't know. It is curious now. I think about it.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like I don't.
Yeah.
It's I guess one thing that has been the what I attribute to it is maybe in the maybe they're trying to, well, I don't know, it's hard
It
to
is,
kind of
yeah.
determine what it is, but I just wanted to like just put that in there because it is interesting, an interesting detail that they seem to try to really highlight or focus on uh, uh, post kill with like it was something that they did with Dexter, and maybe it seemed like it was something that was going to be something specific to Dexter. However,
Yeah.
when we have that scene with what is it, Mia, she seems
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have that same component, too, where after satisfying the urge, I know she called it something
Hmm.
different. I think she said called it the itch. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but
Yeah, something like that.
after she satisfies that, she has a need to immediately eat a meal. And maybe you guys out there have some thoughts on that. Why, what are your thoughts on having that, them, all these characters seeming to, and it seemed to initially start with Dexter, but it seems to be that they're trying to say that there's a commonality among his fellow killers, that
Yeah.
they all have that component in their makeup, so to speak. um Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on it, because I do find that fascinating that that seems to be a component that they seem to really hone in or focus in on. The other
Oh
thing that I
yeah.
wanted to get into with you, Scott, is there is an element almost of the telltale heart in this episode where you have the same thing going with this case being a watch. So what are your thoughts on that and how
Mm.
they are able to kind of reimagine that same idea of what we have with that classic telltale heart story?
Yeah, Harrison with the tick, it's the watch. He has that ticking all the
Ticking, yeah.
time. Yeah, he's like, to, at the very end, he was about to go, I guess, confess to the cops and the two detectives until Dexter stopped
Yeah.
him. But yeah, I found it that fascinating. That watch was pushing him to this. I give up. I'm done. I don't want to. I guess not be like my dad. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Dexter had his similar stuff, not with a watch, but in the past, he had things he would remember or just bug him, and yeah, like Arthur Mitchell not killing him in time. That I know that bothers Dexter still, and anything that reminds him of that um, gets him going. So yeah, it was yeah, definitely Harrison is regretting killing that one guy at the hotel.
For sure.
If
For sure.
that's yeah, if that's what you're asking.
For sure, for sure, yeah. So, yeah, I definitely feel like there's an element that's of guilt that is coming into play when we're talking about that. Um, as I mentioned in prior episodes, I feel like, and I still feel this way, that they're trying to play with things that distinguish Dexter from Harrison, and how Dexter is far colder, or at least as we've known him, has been far colder, and has over time started to develop, more traits that seem to suggest that he has humanity with him. I
Yeah,
think because it seems like they're trying to so explicitly show how um how Harrison is affected by what he's done. I feel like they're trying to have uh a twist happen, or a turn happen, in which he actually you know starts becoming colder and actually starts losing some of that humanity, because I think that they might be. It seems to me that they're trying to tease that descent of him, starting off that way, but over time becoming, far more ruthless or far colder, like Dexter. So, other thing that I want to get into, and this is now getting into theories. We had, just as you mentioned, we had the episode end with Dexter being stopping Harrison from, turning himself in, confessing, however way you
yeah.
want to explain it or shape it. Do you believe, is it really Dexter? Like, do we believe that it's
Oh, I see what
actually
you're saying.
Dexter,
Yeah,
or is it, his version of Harry being
yeah.
there
That's a
with
good.
Dexter? Because if he still believes that Dexter is dead, then he may very well have created Dexter in his mind as kind of like that other voice to, tell him what he needs to do, with the urges that he seems to have. Well, what are your thoughts on that, or do you think it really is Dexter?
Ooh, that's a good pick. It could be like a Harry situation that he's imagining Dexter because he thinks his dad is
Or he
still
believes
dead.
him to be dead?
Even if,
Yeah,
yeah, because Batista was like when they both met at the hotel, like, oh, he thought to himself,
yeah. He
oh,
didn't
I
explicitly
don't
tell him
know.
that
He didn't
Dexter
want to
was
say
alive.
it. Yeah, yeah. So it could be. I want to say no, but
Okay,
if it is like a Harry situation, I would not be surprised. If that is
okay.
like a Harry situation, then eventually Dexter comes into the fold. That's going to be very interesting character development for Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I kind of agree with you that it may actually just be Dexter because
Mm-hmm.
it it it, it would be kind of weird to kind of introduce their meeting or their reunion and
Very
then
so, yeah.
have it kind of be a fake reunion and then doing another reunion. I feel like by doing it twice, it will lose its actual effect, maybe. So maybe they are
Mm-hmm.
just being very obvious. But
Yeah.
just knowing the show and how they have a lot of things that that mirror, mirror things in terms of the relationships that we see. It wouldn't surprise me also if Dexter, in fact, wasn't really there, and it really is a figment of his imagination. Especially after the encounter that he had with Bautista, where Bautista
Mm-hmm.
essentially, as you said, he didn't explicitly tell Harrison that Dexter was
Oh.
alive. He just mentioned how he's becoming more like his father, and because of him saying that, because of that discussion,
Yeah, that's what.
maybe something
Yeah.
clicked in his head that made him create Dexter as that voice that represents the urges that he has and his need for protecting himself. So
Yeah,
I
it
don't
could
know.
very well be. But we'll find out
Um,
next week.
We for sure will. We for sure will. Are there any other theories that you might have? Or I should say one other theory too that I did have. But before I get into that, I want to give you the floor. Are there any other theories that I did not mention or did not bring up that you feel like they may be leading to in looking at this episode?
Well, I do want to know more about why Leon likes went to the serial carrier fandom route. Was it just
Yeah,
like as he grew older, like, ooh, if did something happen when he was like a kid or something? Maybe serial killer killed his parents,
yeah,
and that's why he felt that ooh kind of thing as he got older. So I do want to. That's my little thing. I want to know more.
agreed.
Mia. Looks like they're trying to build a love interest between Mia and Dexter. But
Which
also, I
I
wonder
if
if
they
Mia's just tricking hit Dexter, maybe, and that's why Harry's like, "Slow down, kid. This
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, because we
something
know
fishy might be
what her
happening here."
MO is. Yeah, we know what her
Yeah.
MO is. So maybe because remember, she doesn't know that it's Dexter. She still thinks that he's this
No.
other guy. So maybe
Yeah.
this other guy has a history, of falling within the types of people that types of guys that she goes after because again she's kind of
Mhm.
like a dark avenger. She goes after men who hurt women. So like maybe
Yeah.
there is something there that we're not aware of and maybe Dexter isn't aware of that she
Mhm.
knows about that particular character, and that's why, as you said, she may be trying to trap him herself. But
Oh yeah.
do we think that because we know whenever someone gets close to Dexter, the obvious is bound to happen.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
do we feel like she will get away or make it out? Because in terms of everyone that we have there, and that's saying something because they're all crazy, but
Oh yeah,
at
especially that
least
one dad,
yeah,
Rapunzel. I think they call him like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, out of all of those guys, or all of those said, players, she seems to be the least crazy or the closest
Mhm.
to what we have with Dexter. So do we think
Yeah. Okay,
that
that's the rest.
that relationship might continue? Do we think that she won't survive this season, or do we believe that she'll never, come to know Dexter uh, for for the true identity that he has, other than the one that he's trying to, portray?
Yeah, sure. I think Mia eventually, this is just my opinion,
Yeah,
probably will find out that really is Dexter.
Okay.
I'm also thinking that maybe Leon knows that's actually Dexter,
Oh,
and he's just
really?
playing
Playing
coy.
the
That's
game.
just my thinking. Yeah, because I'm just like, you have all this. I know that guy Dexter's playing tried to stay off the grid and everything with the light and all, but still, that Leon with that type of money, I think he has some kind of reach knowing who everything, especially serial killers. I mean, he has
That's
Charlie
a
as
good
that
point.
security,
That's a good point. Yeah.
so I'm always curious about that. As for Mia, I think she'll find out. It would be something similar, like when he actually had that relationship with that character that the actress Yvonne, I can't remember her last name, played in the original Dexter run. That he was trying to kill her and then decide no, and then just let her go, and then of course she raised Harrison.
Right. That's
So,
what I'm saying. Do you think that he's
so
gonna
it
let her
could be
go?
playing part two.
Yeah.
If they get into a really deep relationship, and it's just she just goes after those who hurt women, rape them, and everything. I yeah, he probably will let her go because he killed
Okay.
that when he killed Laurel and Neil Patrick Harris character. He went after him first because, of course, he was about to do a kill, and but he's just killing it for the thrill of it. He's just like
Right.
stalking that one tattoo woman and everything just to go for it, while Mia's doing it just like Dexter, going after the bad people that harm
Right.
the good people.
Right. No, I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
but also I wouldn't be surprised if Dexter has to stop her, kill her, before she does something bad either. I won't be surprised at that. But they are
I
setting up like she's a Dexter X, pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
So
might
I
feel.
don't know. I think I was gonna say one thing that I feel like how it may play out, and I could be wrong about this, but if I'm right, we shall see. Is
Yeah,
maybe maybe she somehow, because of them developing, a relationship, which is it seems like they're trying to create, is upon developing that relationship, maybe Dexter feels obligated to actually to fess up, like you said, to fess up to who he is.
yeah. I think he will,
Um,
or she finds out by accident. Like, I don't know, he's
okay,
doing a killing or something. That's what
but
I
here's
think.
the
That's what
interesting
it's
part.
leading to. But we'll see. Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, here's the interesting part. What if they end up, because just she kind of they kind of tease that idea when she
Hmm.
talks about it at the dinner. What if it ends up becoming a game of cat and mouse where she ends up being the only person who first discovers who Dexter is, and they end up working together as a duo against everybody
Oh, Bonnie
else.
Clyde kind of thing.
But the caveat is, like you said, Leon has a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So, you know, things, as we know in the past, never really work out with Dexter when it
Mm-mm.
comes to relationships or anyone who's close to him, even if it's not, even if it's not a romantic relationship, any type of relationship, let alone a
Yeah,
romantic
look at
one.
Sister
So,
example, and yeah, yeah,
so she may get caught in the crossfire and may become a casualty of Leon and Charlie trying to take down
yeah,
Dexter and prevent Dexter from exposing.
yeah. I mean, we have Harry telling Dexter,
Stop
uh,
playing with your
they're probably
fruits.
gonna, yeah, they're gonna find it suspicious that one of their members all of a sudden is gone and
And a new
everything.
member comes in.
So, yeah, a new
Yeah.
member comes in, and all of a sudden you lost one of your older ones that was doing the PowerPoint presentation almost. But yeah, so that could happen. Yeah, Yeah, she finds out, doesn't want to say anything to the that group Leon has, and then Charlie. Oh, they find out that she Mia knows, and then yeah, Charlie. I mean, Mia faces Charlie, and then yeah, that could be ways how it goes for that character. Mia.
Cool. Cool. Well, I mean, unless you have any other thoughts, we can wrap it up here because, as I said, we are both still at Comic Con, and I know
Ooh.
we still have other things going. But
Oh
were
yeah.
there before we get into w- before we head out of here, what would you say if we were to um grade this episode. A lot of times I like to use this in our wrap up. Unfortunately, we didn't have I haven't been able to pin down any slides, so to speak, to
Mm.
use as our icon. So I have our
Four.
telescopes here, well, not our telescopes, but yeah,
Oh, I see. Four
microscopes,
telescopes.
our
Okay.
microscopes. Yeah. So if we were to say mark five as a perfect episode, and maybe four as a good one, three being
Oh,
okay, kind of
oh,
odd.
okay.
Where would it fall if we were to give the number of slots, with five being the best and one being awful?
Like I said, I really enjoyed episode three because I had that back to that Dexter going after that guy Keller. It just reminded me
Yeah,
of the original run Dexter, and
sure.
how the pacing went. This one was a close second, so I'll give it. Episode three, I would say I'd give that a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay,
This one, I'll give a 4 out of 5.
okay,
Just to show
okay.
how
Fair
close
enough.
it was between the two.
Gotcha, gotcha. I would say for me, this is probably as perfect of an episode that we've had thus far of Dexter. Um,
In a while, yeah.
there, and the reason why I say that is because I like the component. Typically, when we've had other Dexter shows, there's very much been a formula, right? Where we have quote unquote the killer of the week, and we have to, discover information about that said, foe or villain of the week. And they're
Yeah.
doing something different this go around, in that we're being introduced to everyone up front. So it allows us more time just to dive right into it when it's that particular villain's turn. I'm assuming, based on what we saw happen with the tattoo killer, played by I'm brain farting right now.
Neil Patrick Harris?
Yes, thank you, Paris.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
when we're talking about that, I like that setup that they create. I love the actors that they have playing each of those roles. And it's always fun to have those type of assembly type of I love shows, um or stories, I should say, where you kind of have a ragtag group of people that they have some common thing about them, but there are also elements that make them different. And I like how in those types of stories they they kind of communicate with each other, they interact with each other. I always find those types of stories fun, so it's always great, even in
Yeah.
other forms of storytelling, when we're talking about like action films, we're talking about superhero films, any of those types of films, when you have team ups, because inevitably you're going to have banter, you're going to have manners and ways in which those characters interact with each other. And the differences, while there are some commonalities, the differences always allows those types of stories to be really interesting. The same could be said with this show, or say with this episode too. I feel like that scene in which we are introduced to each of the players, so to speak, um, made for one of the more interesting elements of Dexter that we've had in a while. So with that being said, I feel like you can't there hasn't been any episodes that have been like just perfect, but that one is close. So I know last week I had I believe I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. This one, super close. It's almost as close as you could get to five. Hell with it. I'll give it five.
Go for
Because
it.
yeah, I still will give it the benefit of the doubt of being better than episode three. I like what they are doing, as I said, with introducing all the new players. And I like how they are continuing to up the ante. Things are really starting to build when we're talking about Harrison and the stakes that we have, that Harrison is dealing with. And a lot of times when we're talking about those types of stakes, it's happening maybe 2/3 of the way in, not half the way in.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see if they're able to uh, uh, make the landing by the time we get to the end of the season in terms of how they're escalating things with Harrison's story. Because I'm hoping that momentum can continue, but I have a sneaking suspicion is that this might be the pinnacle, and we may slowly, as the remaining episodes go, um, find that when we look back on it, that moment in which all those characters got to meet might have been, the highlight of the season. But hopefully not. Hopefully they're able to keep the momentum that they have. But with that
Yeah.
out of the way, oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I agree. Hopefully this wasn't like the peak or last week's episode was the peak, cause yeah, hopefully they keep it up. I will say, so far, I think they're doing a better job with Harrison's character development that they did in Dexter New Blood, and that's in my opinion. I just
Yeah,
feel like they're brushing him out more. In New Blood, I just felt like, oh, he's just taking away scenes from Dexter and all. Just keep it on Dexter and that one villain they have in that small town.
yeah,
But yeah, now I don't have that feel. I mean, sometimes maybe a little bit. Maybe I might go back to Dexter because I want to see. But overall, I think they're doing a better job with his character development here. You want to continue with see more of his storyline now. That's how I feel. What do you think? Do you think they're doing a better job with the Harrison storyline now?
yeah.
His
Because I definitely agree with you because when I'm thinking of New Blood in terms of where I was with what they were doing with the series in general, as many people, I enjoyed a good deal of the original show, and I felt like there were a couple of seasons towards the end where I feel like it what didn't wrap up in the way that I would have liked. And so when there was the prospect of New Blood and the opportunity to tell new Dexter stories, I was really, anticipating it and excited for it. But and I've mentioned this on other episodes, I really feel like the setting that they used did a disservice to the character of Dexter because
oh, I agree.
Dexter by nature, you have to have him in a big place in order for it to, in my opinion, logically work that he's able to, you know, do the things that he does. And when you're in a smaller place, that doesn't seem like it would be possible that he would logically be able to do that. And then factor in you bring, your son into the picture that I felt was just there. I don't like it when characters are just placed there or there to be um I hate to say kind of like what is it a burden on those characters. Like I like it when the characters, if you're introducing a new character or bringing a character back that at a later age that's there as a part of the ensemble, I want them to be there because they bring something to the table and not just
Oh,
there just
absolutely.
to provide, uh, provide an unnecessary burden on the character. And I'll give you a good example of that because when we're talking about a show like Buffy, for example,
Yeah,
I felt that way about what's the sister's name? Um, brain
ooh,
farting, a Buffy
I can look
sister.
quickly. Yeah, maybe I'll
But
look for you.
when the character was first introduced, um, I had a similar perspective that you did, where I was like, oh no, that like put Buffy back on. Don't I'm tired of
Yeah,
seeing this character. This character was really whiny.
yeah.
And to
Oh,
to
for
their
sure.
credit, were you able to locate it? Still looking, but
Yeah, the character name was Dawn Summers,
thank you,
and it was
Dawn.
played
I can't
that
believe
Michelle Trachtenberg, who
yes,
sadly passed
the
away
late
recently.
Michelle Trachtenberg. So rest in peace.
Yeah, I liked her a
I
lot
really,
as an actress.
yeah,
Anyways, yeah,
yeah.
continue.
but I was gonna say, like, when the character was first introduced, I couldn't stand that character. They were able to
Yeah.
redeem her. They were able to redeem her as the series went along, but initially I could not stand that character because I felt like she was just there just to. I didn't really feel like she brought anything to the table, and of course, we found out later that
Oh,
she
that's a
was
Kirsten.
basically.
Yeah.
I felt like she was. We found out later that the character was a MacGuffin because of what she was.
Hmm.
But I'm just saying, in terms of how who the character was initially when first introduced, she was just there just to be a burden on our protagonist versus actually having a good story all
Yeah.
their own.
Purpose. Why?
I
Yeah.
feel like we're doing that with Harrison's character now, but he played a similar role to Don. I feel like in New Blood, where he
Yes.
was where just when like it felt like Dexter was like trying to resolve a issue, Harrison popped in there and caused a problem somewhere. And I'm like, oh, like
Hmm.
why is this character in here? Why is this character in here? Like he's not adding anything to our story. But in what we're doing here with that character, um, I feel like it could be its own separate story. It doesn't even need to be a part in Dexter Resurrection. Honestly, it could honestly just be its
No.
own separate story and will be fine. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. But that is gonna do it for tonight's
Oh
the
yeah.
night. I'm gonna punt it over to Scott. Scott, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on the Friends of Comic Con blog. You can also find me on X at Scotty the Wise. But yeah, just keep following me on those two, and oh yeah, you can also follow me on Instagram. Also, this at Scotty the Wise, and I'll post photos and stuff. Right now, on Instagram, I've been posting everything Comic Con, and yeah, that's where you can find me at those places.
All right, excellent, excellent. So again, I want to thank Scott for hopping on for this edition of tonight's tonight. I want to apologize to you guys because I know typically what we've been doing with the show is having a show air in the evening to fit with the theme of the show, but of course, just by virtue of being here at Comic Con, and of course, as you know, we do the show live, that affected some factors of us being able to do it at our normal time. But we will. The plan is to have things return back to its regular schedule in the evening for most of the run. There is going to be one, and I will give you a heads up about that as well, in which we will have it a little earlier, and it's just because. I will likely, just as I am now this week, be elsewhere while I am coming to you guys live to give an episode breakdown. So you can find me at Brandon Troy ENT on X and then Brandon Troy underscore ENT on Instagram. With that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there and see you guys soon.
Take
Later.
it easy, everyone. Happy Comic Con week.